Hey, crafty friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky DIY, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Manitoba, Canada. Flashback Friday, 4-step stamping. One of my favorite techniques is triple step stamping. This is taking it literally a step further, and we're going to have 4 layers instead of just 3. So we've got our Boho blue base, 5.5 by 4 1/4, full sheet cut or scored in half and folded. Now we've got 4 matte layers and 4 stamping layers. So we've got Blueberry Bushel. The matte layers are 4 1/4 by 5.5, 3 1/4 by 5.5, 2 1/4 by 3.5, and 1 1/4 by 2.5. And then we've got our stamping layers that are 5 1/4 by 4, 4 1/4 by 3, 3 1/4 by 2, and 1 1/4, or sorry, 2 1/4 by 1. And basically they're stepping down 1 inch each time. The colors that I'm using to stamp with are, excuse me, are Balmy Blue and Azure Afternoon. So let's get into it. This guy is just going to keep wanting to slide, so I'm going to put it over to the side. So basically, when your card is put together, each layer is going to be put on something a little bit darker, which is going to hide the steps. And then you can absolutely go ahead and formulate these in any way that you want to. The traditional way of doing it is to have each layer centered on the one ahead. If you're going to change up the layering, excuse me, which is something that I want to do today, you want to make sure that each subsequent layer still fits where you want it to fit. So I want to turn this one this way. So I'm going to make sure that wherever I want to place it, it'll still make sense and it'll still fit where I want it to fit. So I'm thinking something like that. So we'll play. I've always done it centered. This is the first time that I'm going to try it a different way. So let's give it a shot. Now, because it's going to be covered up with a little bit, I like to put a tiny bit of adhesive before I place my layer and just make sure that it's not going to move when I start the actual stamping. Maybe move that over just a little bit. Make sure that that's centered. But because you also have your layers that you're going to be masking or matting it with, it's not really going to have a gigantic impact. If it does shift a little bit, because you can always make it better. Okay. Balmy Blue is right here. And I'm actually going to grab a scrap of paper. My notebook seems to have disappeared today. Not a big deal. I've just got a piece of backing from some of the designer series paper here. Move our matte layer out of the way. So I'm going to use this hash kind of pattern and the flowers to create our stamp. And I'm using Grateful for You and the flowers. So now that we've got everything pulled out that we need, let's get to stamping. So I'm just going to do this one in a very random pattern and just kind of fill it in a little bit. Just to kind of provide a little bit more visual interest. There we go. Don't want to do too much because I still want to have room for the flowers. But on this layer, I want the sentiment to be our main focal point. So I'm going to do that first. And then we'll add, I really should have put the sticker on that one. There we go. pure luck that that was right side up. So now that I have our sentiment, it'll kind of help me a little bit too when I go place the flowers, so that I don't stamp where the flower is or where the sentiment is. And then we're just going to kind of randomly stamp our flowers. Now you'll notice it does not look great, but I promise it will come together. We're just going to kind of topsy-turvy it all the way around. You do need to kind of give it a little bit of a push to make sure that you have all the areas covered. I'm going to just do right here. And I think I'm going to call that done. Now we're going to close our ink pad so that we don't get our finger in the ink pad. Tell ya, ink and I are not getting along this week. All right. Now we're going to move this out of the way so we don't smudge anything. And then we're just going to take our layers apart very gently, just kind of pry them. And then we're just going to mat everybody where they belong. So fairly quick and easy once you have your images stamped. You can stamp in as many colors as you want, whatever patterns you want, whatever stamp sets. It really truly is totally up to you and 100% up to your imagination. I really like the look of black and white, but I'm also really curious how this one's going to turn out. I have an idea in my head, but we'll see if it actually translates into real life. Okay, so then there's this guy. You want to make sure that your pattern matches. And then we're going to pull this one in. But this one we had as a vertical, not a horizontal. So we're going to plop that one there. And then this. And then we're going to add our sentiment strip. Actually, we're going to add our sentiment first. And I think actually this one's going to get a dimensional. One of the things, if you do a flat lay, like put every piece the same and center it, you don't need to worry so much about things coming off of the edge and maybe not fitting as well. But I'm kind of liking how this came together. Now we need gems. What are we going to use for gems? Let's see. No. Let's see what I've got in my little embellishment container. Ooh, rhinestones. Rhinestones are pretty. Rhinestones go with everything. Just going to randomly stick a bunch. How many is a bunch? I don't know. Depends on my mood. I like odd numbers and apparently odd sizes because this one's a little bit bigger. So we'll pull in another larger one for down there. So 2, 6. I need one more because I like odd numbers. We'll do 7. And there is our quadruple step stamp. So something a little bit different than the triple stamp, and a little bit different having this vertical layer here too. I will pop all of the measurements over on my blog so that you can take a peek at it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you're notified every single time a brand new video goes live. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon.